Three centers are energy centers in the body: the gut or the belly center, the heart center, and the head center. And they are both physical places in our bodies, but they also are energetic places. They are energetic, sort of like locuses that gather and move energy through our body. They also have a particular lens, a way of understanding the world, a particular way that they operate in the world, with certain gifts and certain limitations that each one has to offer. If you are familiar with a lot of spiritual traditions or different spiritual practices, you might have encountered versions of these before. I certainly don't lay claim that I invented these, and I'm not claiming to speak from or for a particular religious or spiritual tradition or cultural context. These things were kind of came to me through what I was learning and through what I was reading, and also they started to come through my own practice, where I would have insights or connections with these things, or I'd be engaging in a way that would draw attention to these things as being very important. And it's kind of surprising to me, and it's something I keep deepening and learning from. So I'm really speaking from my position here, and you may see analogs in other cultural traditions, and I might draw in insights, because to be honest, more and more I kind of think these things are true, or they're real. They're not the only truth or the only reality, but the more I practice with them and then hear resonances in other systems, the more I think they just might be there. And if you want to engage with them, then that's one way of becoming, working on yourself and coming into a state of psycho-spiritual health, of integration, where all these centers are working together, they're connected to each other, they're doing their jobs in the best way they know how, and they can come to the table with mutual respect, where each is doing what it means to do or what it's best at, and listening to the other parts, or our self is able to take in all this information and make the best decision. That being said, one thing I learned from studying the Enneagram when I was younger, which is the first time I was kind of introduced to these centers as being even a concept. I was in high school, and I was in a Catholic high school, and we had a religion class where we studied different personality systems. And so we talked about the Enneagram, which is a personality system that's 9-pointed. It comes from a mystical tradition, and each of these 9 are divided into kind of three clusters, and these 3 clusters are centered around one of the particular centers in your body, and they can sort of represent where we tend to find home at, where we tend to be strongest at, and also where we tend to be the most conflicted. And so there's head types, there's heart types, and there's belly types, and that you can kind of cultivate your type and also cultivate the other types to have more balance and integration. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the belly type, the gut today. I want to go through and talk about the other types too, and maybe provide more context as we go. But I've found that most people intuitively connect with the heart and the head. We kind of get it symbolically. We understand when we talk about a conflict between the heart and the head. In the United States and Western culture, we're very familiar with that. But what I find we're less familiar with is the gut or the belly. I think, in fact, I've only really encountered that either in my own kind of studying with a practitioner who really is more outside the mainstream and really embraced the belly center, who had a history in dance and practice of martial arts. And then the martial arts community itself, especially these traditions that come from Japan or Korea or China, they tend to have, in their energetic systems, a real awareness of the belly center and of the power of it and the vitality of it. And so much of our movement comes from that center. Our center of gravity is in our bellies. Our connection to our bodies, our vitality, our connection to the earth. And what I find too is our connection to power and what we might call will, although we tend to bring more heady associations with will, where will is like, I pick something and I do it, which is a form of will, or one quality of will. But the belly center is is just our animal willingness, our animal vitality. It's the part of us that knows we belong here and we have a right to be here. And God help anyone who gets in the way of that. The belly center tends to be really connected with anger, with energy and aliveness, with vitality, and so it's got a lot of strength and a lot of power. And I find when me or my clients are the most kind of caught up in this helplessness or this depression or this conflict, or especially when it comes around people pleasing or a lot of trauma, a lot of trauma experiences tend to disconnect us from that belly center. Usually it was unsafe to express that vitality or that power, to express our anger, to protect ourselves, and so that part maybe got shut down in favor of these other parts that stepped in to try to keep us safe. And then at the same time, there are people who maybe just really went into their bellies and they just live a life of anger and conflict and just a constant awareness of what's in their way and the need to overcome that, which, like all these things, has its strengths and it has its limitations. It's not that that's bad. It's that all these things, if they're not working together, can kind of be unbalanced. So one of the ways that I really like to work with the belly center is breath. I mean, breathing usually works for anything, but you might just take a moment, if you're curious to connect with it, you might put your hand on your belly. It's somewhere kind of between your navel and pelvis, or just on your navel is fine. And just kind of breathe, just really feeling into that place in your body. And just noticing what you feel in the center of that space between the hand touching your belly and the end of your back, kind of that space in between. And if you want to close your eyes, you could close your eyes or just let your gaze soften for a moment. And as you inhale, just let your belly push out against your hands. So let your inhale fill your belly so that your hand is stretching. You can feel the inflation. And then for this purpose, just for today, as you exhale, also kind of extend your belly so that it's holding your hand out rather than contracting in. There may be some softening or release, but instead of sucking your gut in, just see if you can kind of hold that expanded belly awareness or that extended space in your core. For me, the more I practice this, I find that immediately my awareness gets pulled from my head right into that center. And I really feel connected, I feel grounded, I feel a sense of my vitality. And so you might be having a different experience, but just notice what experience is present for you now, having breathed into that. Maybe breathe in a few more times. And just see if you can invite in some curiosity. You might feel angrier, you might feel numb, you might feel stuck or afraid, you might feel more enlivened. There could be any kind of feeling, and none of them are wrong. And just dropping in that question, what does this feeling have to teach me about the state of my belly center today, of my gut? And if you have a sense of that, you could continue, or you could just stay with that question. But if you're feeling ready to try something else, then just bring your attention to your feet or your root. Just imagine that you can breathe in power from the earth. You might even press your feet a little bit into the ground so you can feel the power of your feet and the power of the earth reaching back up and supporting you. And imagining and sensing that you could breathe that feeling of power in through your legs into the center of your body. So as you're breathing, you're drawing in power to your center. And as you exhale, keep expanding your belly, but it's almost like you can compact that power into a ball in the center of your belly. So breathing in, filling. Breathing out, compressing, compacting. Breathing in, filling. Breathing out, compressing. Breathing in and out. Just noticing how it feels right now to have this aliveness in your core, to have energized your belly with the power of the earth. And just asking this part of you, this belly center, what do you want to do today? See what comes. And just see if you can make some time to make that happen today. The more you can honor the requests of this center, whether they make sense or not, whether they're rational or not, the stronger your relationship will be with it. And this part can provide aid, it can provide empowerment in whatever you're trying to do. It can help keep you steady and self-connected as you move through your day. It can support these other centers, which will go in future videos. It can provide them energy and vitality. It can help you to set boundaries or know where your boundaries are. And if you feel any fear or hesitation or doubt, just notice that too. Maybe you could explore that later. And for now, just really thanking this part of you for being present and thanking yourself for giving this some attention.